take a moment. First of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to come here. Everybody hear me okay? Put it up to your mouth. That's better. Yeah, that is better. I actually kind of like that myself. Anyway, I want to thank you for allowing me to come here. It's truly an honor to be here. It's also an honor to be selected and appointed to City Council. There's a lot of work to be done with City Council, and I'm trying to do the best I can to roll my sleeves up and do what's right. I want to start by basically telling you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Prescott Sherrod, and I'm actually originally from the city of Suffolk. I'm the last of 10 kids to a family of ministers. My father's a minister, brothers and sisters, uncles and cousins. So, God's really been looking over us, and feeling truly blessed to be in this position. But to tell you a little bit more about myself, I went to school and got my BS degree from Virginia State University, and I got a master's degree from George Washington University. And in terms of my employment, I started out working as a design engineer for a defense contracting firm here in the city of Norfolk, where I worked for about 7 years until I got laid off. And when I got laid off, that was it was quite an experience for me. As a young man, a young engineer, never after getting his first job and laid off and no place to turn, it was very, very difficult to find a job. So what I had to do was I had to change my focus just a little bit from trying to find a job to just finding work. And what that meant was anybody that was willing to take on my services, I was willing to give them. And I remember my very first check, $460. I was excited. And that turned into additional work. And that turned into my needing to get some people to help me out, and on a part-time basis, and that turned into a company. So that's how I started PEMCO. And today we're again defense and working in the defense and transportation industry, and we have presence, employment, we employ people in 2 different states. And we're excited about who we are, what we've accomplished, and what I've accomplished as a businessman, considering the challenges and not starting a business in an ideal man, if you will. But why I'm interested in city council running, well, as you can see, with the challenges that I've gone through, I've had to position myself to identify challenges and actually try to find solutions. So I think that the city, there are opportunities, there are challenges, and I want to be city council because I want to help to continue to identify those challenges and also find those solutions. And I also want to be able to bring the city of Virginia Beach together and move everybody forward. I think there's tremendous opportunity here for the city to move forward. We've got the assets, the most precious assets, but the people, the citizens here, and I think we have a great opportunity to do that. The bottom line is we're talking about better government. We want to make smart decisions today that will lead to a better tomorrow. We want everybody to have a voice, and we want to share interest in the future of Virginia Beach. I think that's good for Virginia Beach. I really do. I believe that Virginia Beach that is pro-business, one that balances budgets, not by raising taxes, but by coming up with smart strategies and making good investments. I believe that Virginia Beach should continue to have safe neighborhoods with the police, rescue and fire, and making sure that personnel have all the tools that they need to do their job. And I believe that education is a pathway to the current and future success of the city. I believe that's right for Virginia. I really do. These kinds of things are my priorities, and they've always been my priorities because I know that my parents, when they raised me that if you are doing what you can do, whether you're volunteering and you're doing what you can do to uplift a community, the community in particular that you live in, then you, as a member of that community, Thank you.
That's why they invited me back. I usually keep everybody on time. Thank you, Prescott. And you can always, other candidates, end with just saying thank you as he did. That's a nice thing. All right, now we bring you John Moss. For 32 years, he's guided resource management for the U.S. Navy. He served 2 terms as an at-large member of the Virginia Beach City Council, or he served 2 terms, once as at-large and once representing the Kempsville Borough, and he is also immediate past chair of the Virginia Beach Taxpayer Alliance. We bring you John Moss.
Good evening. Thank you, the Thalia Civic League, for organizing this. It gives me an opportunity to share with you and you to learn a little bit about us, because there isn't anything more important than choosing the people who can reach into your pocket and take your money legally for something else. So, kids, watch out. This is the place to pay attention. And good on Mrs. Watson for getting you here this evening. I am John Moss, and I'm here tonight to earn your vote to be your next city councilman. I'm in this race because I've had a lifetime commitment to public service. And I believe I have the passion and the knowledge and the talent to make a difference for you and your family on city council. And equally important, I think the values of effective, limited government, personal liberty, and free enterprise deserve not only a voice, they deserve a vote on city council, your city council. As I was chatting with some of you there this evening, it was interesting to learn of the challenges you are personally facing in our economy. All of us are having to make extremely difficult choices. And isn't it interesting that the city is imposing new fees, increasing spending, and increasing borrowing? You would think business as usual. They're not recognizing that things have changed. Our economic ability to pay has changed. And you deserve a leader who will give your voice and your concerns a vote on city council. And I want to be that leader to accomplish these things. I want to remove the regulations that prevent job growth. I want to invest in education where it makes sense. But most important, something each and every one of you in this room is concerned about: controlling city spending. I'm going to wake up every morning thinking about who can I work with in the community to what? Reduce the regulatory and financial burden on business and families. I've been talking to businesses across the city, and they are suffering and they need relief. And before I go to bed, I'm going to be asking myself, what have I accomplished? What have I accomplished to reclaim the best of the past? Because we've lost some good features of Virginia Beach. And what are we doing to preserve the best of the present and build a better future? Because I know in the end, it's not us. It's you that sets the priorities for the council. My job as your agent is to act on your priorities and achieve tangible results. Less expensive, higher value government. That's the task you have for us. But I'd like you just to imagine for a moment these headlines. Virginia Beach, Virginia, #1 free enterprise zone in America. Lowest business taxes drives major job growth. And lastly, businesses and residents prosper as Beach Council controls spending and sets new priorities. Those are headlines, ladies and gentlemen, you can achieve. It's in the power of your vote. A vote for John Moss makes those headlines a possibility, but it gets us off the path that we are on, the path of subsidy, the path of special interest, and the path of indifference to the average resident in their neighborhood. We have a growing demand in our community for jobs, and a growing demand in our community for high-quality educational opportunities, and for investments in our neighborhoods. And all those things require what? A thriving private sector. And a thriving private sector requires a government that's what? More productive, more efficient, and more focused in its purpose. And that's what I want to bring. I ask for your vote on November 8th to make me your advocate, to make me your counselor, to make Virginia Beach a better place. It'll be my honor and my duty to serve the common good in Virginia Beach. I invite you to visit johnmoss.com, join the campaign, make an investment, volunteer your time, because Election Day is the day you get to choose to put Virginia Beach on a different path. I look forward to your support. Thank you so much.
You must have practiced doing it in 5 minutes and we were just about to get the call for time. Okay, all right, our last candidate, Dennis Free. He served on the Virginia Beach Police Department for 28 years. He's been awarded the Silver Star for bravery. He retired from the police force with the rank of captain in 2006. Post-retirement, he continued to serve and protect by joining the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office. As chief deputy, he supervised the physical operation of the office, including budgets and schedules. And last year, he transitioned to his current position as undersheriff. I present Dennis Free.
Thank you all for coming here. I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak with so many fine citizens who brave this weather. And I do believe this is the core of government. When government is visible to you, not just at election times, but all the time, that's when it functions best, because that's when it's most accountable. Now, you heard a little bit about me. I spent 27 years on the Virginia Beach Police Department. I spent another 6 on the Sheriff's Office so far. And it has been my honor to serve and to protect you for all those years. And people ask me, why am I running? What drives me to run at this point in my career? You know, I'm a law enforcement officer. That's what I do. And I've looked at myself and I've looked in the mirror and I decided I wanted to give something back to you. I knew that you good citizens, when I was out there working the streets, you had my back. I knew that you would look after me. I knew that you would adequately pay me, and you did. I knew that you provided a good place for my wife and my child to grow up. And I want to pay something back for you now for that honor that you gave me, for those things that you provided to me. And that's why I'm running. What I bring, or what I have in my ideas to present to you is, I know how to make government run more efficient. I want to give you a government that changes fundamentally how it works. And I want to change it to like how we've changed things in the Sheriff's Department. Right now, the way that the government is working is relying on the old way of doing things in the 80s and the 90s and the early part of this century when the money was really rolling in. We had unprecedented growth for a number of years, almost approaching 10% some years. Those days are over now. All those paradigms have changed. We must now reinvent ourselves in government. And to reinvent ourselves in government, we have to become lighter, more agile, more entrepreneurial, looking for ways to encourage business opportunity, and looking for ways to lighten the burden on you, the taxpayer, but still provide excellent service. And what I think we need to do that is we need to kind of get back to the basics of government. We need to refocus ourselves and understand what our core responsibilities are to you. And those responsibilities are public safety, a good education system, a good road and infrastructures to allow you to get to and from your jobs, and finally, a reasonable tax rate that encourages businesses to come here and employ you. In all my time in governance, and about 20% of it has been as an executive, one of the lessons that I've learned is taxes is not what gets government its money. That's the vehicle that gets the money. What gets government its money is economic activity. And the more of that we can have, the lower we can keep our tax rates. Because we can predict what government costs. I can tell you in the Sheriff's Office, it costs $37 million a year. But in addition to bringing things like that, we have to do more. We have to reinvent what government is. And we've done that at the Sheriff's Office. We have a Sheriff's Office where ideas come from the top to reduce how much it costs to run. And I also have a Sheriff's Office that's full of innovators, great people within the office. who we've unleashed their spirit to come with us with ideas on how to reduce the cost of operations in the sheriff's office and lower the cost to you, all the time without impacting negatively our obligation to do it and never compromise safety and security. Of all the candidates here, and they're fine candidates, I can come to you and say, I've done that. I've worked with the fine people in city governance and found ways to do that. Most recently with the sheriff's office. And if I'm your councilman, I'm going to bring that spirit of reinventing how we do things to government. We can't just cut government, because all we're going to have if we cut it is a smaller version of what it is now. And that's not the way we need to do things anymore. We have to, once again, remember, reinvent it. Make it more agile, make it more entrepreneurial, make it more innovative. Unleash the creative spirit of the city employees that work there. And there's great people that work there, and they're just waiting for people to let them loose on solving your problems for them. Most city employees are fabulous people. I've had the privilege of working with them for so long. So that's what I want to bring to city government. I want to take the ideas that we developed at the sheriff's office that is saving you millions of dollars, and I want to transplant them into how the city government works. And given that opportunity and nurturing that, I believe we can change how government works, we can keep it friendly to businesses, and we can move forward into the 21st century. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, is your opportunity to question the candidates. And I have two. Let's step on up. Oh, all right, I'll play Oprah.
I'd like to ask you about public-private partnerships. I'm so impressed with what we've done in Town Center and the money that our city has made, and also in our other public-private partnerships. And I'd like to know how you would vote on our headquarters hotel and anything else that might be coming to the beach. All three of them. Thanks.
Okay, I think you'll have a minute to respond. Since that was in your bio, I'll let you go first.
Something else in my bio, I said I'm on the development authority, which I'm not anymore. Okay. Public-private partnerships. I would say that, you know, if the private sector would like to get involved with developing the city, I think they should have the right to, but not at any cost. Okay? I think that the public-private partnership, and when you think about the experience that the city has had over the years with PPPs, I think we've had a pretty successful track record. So, yes, I think that we should continue to look at ways to leverage these public-private partnerships, definitely taking off some of the burden on the citizens.
Well, I am not an advocate of public-private partnerships. In a minute, I certainly can't give a good explanation economically why they have not been beneficial, but they have not been. The academic research of going to Brookings Cato Enterprise Institute, we had to take 333 acres off the tax rolls around the town center to pay the debt service on the town center. That's money not going to police, money not going to fire, money not going to libraries. It isn't making money, but more importantly, it isn't the role of government to compete with other private enterprise, putting their free capital at risk. And that's fundamentally wrong about public.
My feelings on the public-private partnership is you have to examine each one on its own merits. The first thing you want to look at when we're considering doing this is whether or not private industry would do it on their own. And if they would do it on their own, then let them do it on their own. The second thing that you want to do is you want to look at it and say, okay, what is the risk to the public's dollar? How is that protected? And if it's sufficiently structured and protected, then it's okay with that. And then the third thing that I would look for is what is the payback for your tax dollar? What we're going to get back for putting your capital in there. And if those three things are in the positive, I'm in favor of public-private partnerships. If the answer to any of those questions is in the negative, that we can't protect your interest, or it's something that private industry would do on its own, or we can't structure an arrangement that adequately protects your interest, then I'm not for them. But I would measure each one on their merits.
Ask you to step forward.
Good evening, gentlemen. This is, I hope it doesn't come across as self-serving, but as a city employee, where did all three of you put your priorities as far as employees go? Over the past several years, there were no pay raises for the city employees, yet they did find $60 million to give to them out of offer. A dog kennel went $13 million over budget. We found out just this week that the restrooms at the beach, how much they cost. Where will you put your priorities as far as the people that are actually doing the work and making the city function?
Well, one of the things that I always valued on the city is that the city did have our back and did value us. And in these tough economic times, they've hit everybody, including the city employees. But I will tell you this, that if you want quality city workers and you want them to stay here, which you do, you have to adequately compensate them. And the way the city does that is they do some market surveys and they look at what everybody's paying. And what they're seeking to do is come up with a reasonable amount of pay, not an excessive amount of pay, by comparing what the pay is for our city employees with other similar cities. And that's how they rationally arrive at what they think is adequate compensation. Now, people in city employment didn't go there to get rich. They went there because of a desire to serve. But we need to treasure that we have those people. And when we have those people who want to stay here and perform well, we want to make it capable for them to stay here and raise their families and have a piece of the life that they help provide to us.
That's awesome. I believe that we have some really, really fine employees of the city, and I believe that when you think about the long time, the time in which these employees have been a part of the city, it's been on average 20 some odd years. I mean, you have to know that they obviously enjoy what they're doing, and that the city is actually doing a good job for them. However, there are some challenges. There are some areas in which we could probably take a closer look at, like when it comes to compression. I don't believe that. I believe that that when you look at someone's starting a job and they come in at a certain level and they've been there so many years, and then new employees come in and they can get to that same level very quickly, I think there's a problem with that system. So I think those kinds of things we want to take a close look at and make sure that we're treating all the employees fairly. We need to, the commitment we made to these employees when they first started, came to work for the city, we should keep those commitments.
First and foremost, it's the citizens of Virginia Beach and the private sector who have taken care of city employees, not the city council. They don't earn the money, they don't raise the money, they just take the money. So I think we ought to give proper credit to all of us that we value your service and we pay the taxes. And why I say that is because in the private sector, people have had their wages reduced, their retirements eliminated, not protected. They haven't had $9 million of catch-up payments in VRS retirement to make it whole. Well, I've heard you talked about it. I think all of us need to realize that everyone is suffering. Everyone is suffering except the special interest being served by the Development Authority, except the special interest being served by the City Council, because that's where our cash is going. And you're right. $35 million gift they just had to offer for the convention hotel, $12 million for a dog pound, on and on and on. The cash isn't going to residents, the cash isn't going to employees, the cash is going to special interests. That has to stop.
Step forward, please.
I'm Chris with WYR on radio, and I'd like to direct this question to all three of you. It seems well and good that we take bids on lots of jobs, like, for example, Jasper Transmissions for the city garage, the school buses, and all those kinds of things. But a lot of our local businesses are locked out of bidding for those jobs. And I'd like to know what each and every one of you three will do if you're on council to make sure that those bids, in fact, are fair and equitable for our local business owners.
Well, actually, I do handle city contracts. The most recent one that I did was a city contract providing food to the inmates. That when we finally allowed the private sector to be unleashed on it, I reduced that by $1,000 a day, every day for the next 5 years over the old contract. A lot of this bidding and everything is tightly controlled, but I do believe that you always have to have a level playing field. You put out your perspective on who or what you want, and then you allow everyone to competitively and secretly bid. You analyze those bids and then pick what is the best value for the taxpayer dollar. I've been personally involved in that, and that is the system that I support, and I would not tolerate any instant of any back dealing or prearranged deals on any city contract ever. And if I ever found out that was going on and there was laws violated, I would see somebody was prosecuted to the fullest extent, without exception, and I wouldn't care who it was.
Well, I also believe that if there is any backdooring going on, then that should cease immediately, because that is definitely not right. I would tell you, as a small business owner myself, I know what the challenges are in trying to identify opportunities and give yourself an opportunity to respond to them. I would say to you that there has to be tighter compliance. And in fact, when I served on the Minority Business Council, that's one of the jobs that we perform, looking at the types of good faith efforts as well as compliance issues that will ensure that these opportunities are available to everybody. Because we want Virginia Beach to be open for business and open for all businesses, not just a certain segment of the businesses here. So if those kinds of things are happening, again, I will continue to look at those kinds of things and make sure that there are ordinance or administrative directors that speaks directly to that and put together some sort of tracking system to manage. Thank you.
Well, those kind of things are happening. And the reason why, they're not happening with the city, because the city has to comply with the State Procurement Act, but the Virginia Beach Development Authority does not. And that's how some of these partnerships take place out of competitive bidding, but instead under what they call negotiation around the conditions. So you get a sole source award for a dog pound, you get a model hot for a town center who both built it and manages it. Those are done under a different set of rules and they're not bid on price. When you talk to businessmen around the community, they'll tell you that they don't get a fair shake. And I would stop using the Development Authority as a conduit to circumvent the procurement rules for competitive bidding on closed price only. No negotiated bids.
Question? Please step forward.
I have heard about what has been done through your job, and that's very commendable. What I would like to know is, what have you all contributed to your community, and how have you tried to help your community outside of your jobs?
Well, I do believe that government should not be an occupying army. It should be part of the community, and the best way to do that is volunteer in your community. And it also ties in with my belief that not everything for the public good has to be on the back of the taxpayer. I'm a member of the Rotary. We do a lot of charitable work in our schools, providing dictionaries to them and everything. I'm on a board of directors of a CC House, which is seeking to build affordable housing for those mentally ill people. I was the CEO and the leader of the Naval Aviation Monument, a $2.8 million project that was done on 25th Street to honor the men and women of naval aviation. That was completed on time with no tax dollars. I frequently get involved in the community with our children, and I give back to our children all the time because I believe that is the future. I work with SeaTac Elementary School on some of their programs. I've worked with the Progressive Civic League for some of the disadvantaged youth that they support with their Christmas parties. And I also do a lot of volunteer work throughout the community in other areas.
Well, first of all, I've been volunteering here and supporting here in the city for, wow, almost 9 years. You know, and supporting different types of organizations. I've actually gotten involved with a group. In fact, we're doing a race this coming Saturday. Now I think about it, with the Together We Can Foundation for foster youth and supporting foster youth care. We've been doing this race for about 3 years now, and I've had different activities. I've supported the Urban League. There's a number of things that I've done that has been in support of my direct community and throughout the city as a whole. As I stated before, my parents always said that you've got to support your community. You've got to volunteer your services. You've got to give your efforts in order to allow that community to grow and develop. So I will continue to volunteer all my efforts, regardless of whether it's my job or not. But that's where I am. Sorry.
Well, those who know me know my first love is Boy Scouts. I've been doing Boy Scouts for 16 years. I hope there's some Boy Scouts out here that went to Philmont or went up to Canada in the Outback. But there is no greater leadership group for young men than Boy Scouts of America. It's just a great thing to do. But in addition to that, I volunteer my time and my treasure and my talent to protect you even when I'm not on city council. I helped raise the money to go to the Supreme Court of Virginia to get taxation without representation ruled unconstitutional. We thought that would be obvious, but we had to go there to get it done. I worked hard in the community to get the Regional Road Authority, which impinged upon our economy, defeated in a referendum by you, because you rejected it 66%. And lastly, to make sure, unlike Norfolk, we didn't have a development authority condemning your private property for a private purpose. We got a referendum on the ballot, gave you an opportunity to reject it. That's what I have made my life work about, to preserve the liberty and private property rights of these residents.
Thank you, candidates. I have one question up here, and then we'll return to the folks in the back, and I'll ask you to come over here when it's time.
Thank you. As you all know, there are 11 people on council. And one of the things that happens with 11 people on council, it takes 6 votes to get something done. So I want to ask all of you, how good are you at governing with others to get something done instead of the rhetoric that can happen when you can't get anything done if you can't convince 5 other people to join you in something? So how good are you going to be at governing with others?
Well, I can tell you in some of the projects that I've worked on, and I mentioned one of them too, the Naval Aviation Monument, that was a 10-year project with all volunteer help. And believe me, you learn how to gain consensus when everybody's volunteering to be there and can leave at any time. What I do think, though, is that is the beauty of governance. Those 11 people have to work together because their collective wisdom, and indeed it represents your collective wisdom, is the best way to govern. Government is complex. Frequently, the differences between choices is very minute or maybe even almost immeasurable sometimes, but have a great impact on you. So those 11 people working together, bringing their collective wisdom to focus on those problems is the best way to do things. And working together in consensus is what government's about. It is about compromise, not your key principles, but learning to work with others. You know, working in the jail, we don't have any weapons. We have to learn to get people to cooperate with us to get things done. So I've become very good at that.
Well, I've served on several boards, so I do understand in order to get something done, you have to have some friends per se. But I think the key to this is identifying exactly what your goal, what your mission is, what the topic is, and then try to build some support, some consensus around that. You know, first of all, the topic, I think it's got to make sense. It's got to be something that's going to generate an ROI back to the city. I think that you have to be open. You have to mind for conflict, and then you have to be able to commit, okay, and move forward. I believe that in my particular case right now, sitting on city council, there are 7 other district representatives out there, and I believe that what you have to do is you have to be open and listen to the concerns and listen to the representatives who should be closer to their constituents in that district. But even being in that large position, we have to also double that by backing it up by being close to constituents as well.
I know how difficult that really is. How many of you been to a rec center or a library in Virginia Beach, or the Haven Parkway, or the Lee Roads? When I first came on the council in 1986, that was a major change in the city of Virginia Beach. And I was the leader of the referendum. After I worked to defeat 185, we passed a referendum for rec centers, for schools, and for roads. We banned billboards, the sign ordinance, a lot of tough 6-5 votes that made this community a better place. And I was on the front line of those votes. The Green Line wouldn't be here today if not for the leadership and the consensus that we built. Elected school boards, directly elected mayor. Those were all things that I had a leadership role and built a coalition that made those things pass. But you know why? You don't win because everybody else necessarily likes you, but by the merits of our intellectual argument and because you, ladies and gentlemen, tell us to get to work and do the right thing. You decide where the 6 votes come from. We just listen to you.
The city has already spent millions of dollars to acquire a right-of-way for light rail in the hopes it will come from Norfolk to Virginia Beach, despite what the citizens have asked for, despite what a referendum, how they voted. This is just a pretty specific question. I realize that everybody up there would like to give explanations. Could I just get a very simple yes or no? If you're put on city council, would you vote for light rail?
Before I spend $1 billion of your money, someone's going to have to convince me it's a good idea. And I haven't seen that proof yet. Before I spend $1 billion of your money, I'm going to listen to you about whether or not you want that. And then I'm going to ask you, if you don't want that, then what are your alternatives? What is it that you want in lieu of light rail? Let me know, because I'll be your voice on that. We may find out that light rail, they got a piece of it working in Norfolk. Let's see if the projections they predicted on ridership and revenue and cost turn out to be true. If they don't turn out to be true, then they're not going to convince me it's a good idea for Virginia Beach. If the people of this city say, we don't want it, well, then I'm going to listen to you. But I'm also going to ask you, in lieu of that, what do you want? And let me know, and I'll act in your best interest.
I think that mass transportation could be a good thing for the city. However, I don't believe that light rail is going to be good for the city of Virginia Beach if we don't know what the content of the EIS is going to be. We have to wait and see what the content of the EIS, the study that is and we can make a determination as to whether or not that data produces some results that says that this is good for the city of Virginia Beach. I do believe that the stakeholders, you, the citizens, have to weigh in on that. You have to have your input, your say in regards to that. I think that it would be kind of not in our best interest to just say that we're going to just put light rail. Yes, there's not a simple yes answer. I don't think there's enough information available yet to make that determination.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't need to spend another dime on a study. Not another nickel, not another minute of our time. The public said no. And until the public says yes, there isn't anything to talk about. So if you think you might like to have a study, then put a referendum first on the ballot and ask if people are even interested. They told us to put our money in our pocket, to leave it in their pocket. When they elect us, we take office, take the oath, and listen to them then. Listen to them now. They said no, they mean no. No more money, no more stuff.
Any additional questions?
Unrelated question. The city has these high-density areas that they're working diligently on. The Rosemont area over here, I think, is the first one, and if you go to the city website, you can get some details on that. I took part in some of the agreements on that. And I think that the city is going ahead and planning to have the light rail and to significantly change our communities in these development areas to support higher density population. The goal being to collect more taxes, at least that's a stated goal. But having served on some of these committees, I remain a skeptic. And so I'd like to have your comments in relation to the light rail. You've already answered that, but what do you think about the city going ahead and planning to have these high-density areas along the light rail system before we even have the light rail system?
Well, what the city's talking about there are the strategic growth areas, okay? And what that is the city working with its stakeholders, which also includes the citizens, is looking how to do smart redevelopment. That's the goal. And some of the smart redevelopment is to make it more environmentally sound than what we have now. As we redevelop north of the Green Line, we don't want a newer version of what we have now because it made some mistakes. What we want to do is want to have smarter growth that takes into account what the citizens want to do. Like at Town Center, there are some people that prefer an urban lifestyle and they live there. Well, that's okay. They can vote with their feet. As we develop these things, so long as we're listening to the stakeholders and taking real input from them, I think you'll come out with something that you like. It's not always going to be denser, but it may be a combination of things. We'll still have suburban areas, we'll still have rural areas, and you'll get to vote on whether you want to live with your feet.
It's strategic growth areas. I believe that strategic growth areas it's a smart approach to growth and developing the city. We talk about the light rail line. Maybe that's going to be for light rail. Maybe it's going to be for some other form of transportation. Maybe a combination. But I believe the strategic growth areas is a good approach to this mixed use of development and potential incorporating mass transportation in that process. I think it protects green lines, green areas, and also protecting the small. It's a very, very focused and systematic approach to developing the area. I really believe that the approach that we're taking is a good approach, but again, we have to take in consideration the input of the citizens as well.
The gentleman was correct. If you read comprehensive land use plan, it is predicated on light rail. It is predicated on public subsidy. It is, in effect, social engineering, saying that government knows best how people should live, and they're going to make you pay for it whether you like it or not. That's what strategic growth areas amount to. I believe in the free market. We've done fine in this country without it. The strategic growth areas, no one can show you the economic assumptions by which they will work. They're going to have TIFs, they're going to have this, they're going to have that, and guess what? No increase in road construction. So they're going to put more people out there with cars and all those apartments at higher density, choking up your roads, putting more demand into libraries and services. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a bad dream of urban planners. And the last thing we need is urban planners telling us how to live. I do not believe in the strategic growth concept. I believe in the free market.
Thank you, candidates. Now you'll have 2 or 3 minutes to close it. 3 minutes to close. 3 minutes to close. Okay, and we'll begin. Keep it consistent.
All right, thank you very much for your time. How to close. Let me show you what we did at the Sheriff's Office, and that's what I want to bring to the city of Virginia Beach. I have innovations at the Sheriff's Office that I was a part of, or I assisted in, or that others did, that are saving you and operating in the black by $3 million on a $37 million budget. I already told you about the food saving cost. We renegotiated our medical contract. We did a complete audit of everything we did to make things better and more efficient and lighter. Our medical contract saving you $20,000 every month for the new contract. But in addition to that, I talked about bringing up innovation and lighter government from within too, because you can't just dictate from down, from above. That just gives you a smaller version of what you had before. You have to let the creative experience of the great city workers that you have get involved. I have tens of thousands of dollars in savings that have come from suggestions from the deputies. We sell advertising in our inmate rule book now. It saves you $15,000 a year in printing it. It's projected to make you about $7,000 in profits that we'll use to run the place for every dollar. We've increased revenues that we've been making on the inmate canteen, largely from the suggestions of our employees. It's projected to raise over $500 million. And that's money that I can use to run the jail that I don't need from you. But all of this stuff comes from all places. When you take a look and you reorganize how you do things, you let the entrepreneurial and the creative spirit experience of your deputies or your workers who know how to do things, you unleash them, and that's how we solve things. We have to change how we do things. We cannot continue to do what we did in the past. Remember, the federal government in the mid-90s had a balanced budget. How many people were happy with that? Probably everybody. But they didn't change how they governed, and that's how we got where we're at now. We're at a crossroads. We have a good city here if we can keep it, but we have to change how we govern. We have to reorganize how we govern. We have to look to become agile and lighter and entrepreneurial, always looking for ways to constantly improve and strive for perfection in governance. We will not reach perfection, but if we strive, we will obtain excellence. And that's what I'm looking for, and that's why I'm running. I want to bring excellence to city government. Thank you.
I agree, we do have a very good city here. I think we can make it better. I think we can make it a great city. As a business owner, and a small business owner, and if you recall, I told you how I started my business, I've had an opportunity to see my business go through some very, very good times, and some very, very bad times. So I understand bad times. You know, and we're suffering bad times. I understand and feel exactly what you're feeling here. But that's one of the reasons why I think I can continue to play a good role in city council, managing through good times and managing through bad times. But this is really not about me. This is about you. This is about bringing all of us together, you know, to be able to talk about what the concerns are and address those concerns. Being able to bring different opinions, different positions together. regardless of any special interest groups, for the overall betterment of the city as a whole. I believe that that's what I bring to the table here. And if you continue to allow me to do so, I will continue to work as hard as I possibly can to make sure that I do right by you. I do ask for your vote. I do ask for your support. Thank you.
Well, I applaud Dennis's good work in the Sheriff's Department. But ladies and gentlemen, we face, as Bob Brickman talked about, much more structural problems and challenges than you can address on the margin. Let me just share a few things with you to put it in context. The city's budget in 2000 was $1 billion. 10 years later, it's $2 billion. That's rule of 72. It grew 7.2% per year when the local economy grew by less than 2.5% a year, GDP growth. And wages in the private sector grew by less than 2%. And you might say, wow, all these people. No, population only grew 1.8%, and school enrollment fell 11,000 students. Ladies and gentlemen, we have more government today than we can even afford to pay for next year, and the city knows it. This is the case. We have some major fiscal policy decisions to make. We have a tremendous unfunded retirement pension bill for the school and the city, a big bill for health care on the city side, and we're looking at residential properties falling another 10 to 15% and being flat for a long time. Our income has permanently changed for a long time, and our appetite for spending by the city has not lowered itself. These are not small problems. And in that same period of time, our debt for these public-private partnerships went from zero to $363 million. The fastest growing item in the budget was debt. And we all know when you have debt, what can't you do? Hard to change your costs. High fixed cost. This is a concern for city employees as well. This is a big issue. These are just serious discussions we should be having about how we're going to rescope and the purpose of government, or you have to decide your living standards are going to continue to decline as the city transfers your wealth and income from the private balance sheet to their balance sheet, which is what the trash fee did. They kept the real estate tax the same, gave you a trash fee, they got $12 million. That's a tax increase. Why? Because they have an addiction. Governor Perry's right, 12-step method. They got an addiction to your money. They've got a problem. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? You're the only ones who can solve it. The distance between your prosperity and the city's excessive spending is the steps to the ballot box. That's all you have to do is vote. I can assure you, when you vote for John Moss on November 8th, and Dee will confirm this for you, that will be earthquake shape for them. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of our candidates for participating in the Thalia Civic League Candidate Forum. Dennis Free, Prescott Sherrard, and John Moss. Give all of our candidates a big round of applause.